Hi everyone, my name's Michelle and I'm Mama Loves You GB here on FlossTube, but also over on Instagram and Etsy as well. Welcome to the Sunday morning briefing. I don't have COVID anymore. I did eventually test negative, but according to other folks, that little cough can last for quite some time. So yeah, we could be stuck with that for a little while. So you'll just have to bear with me. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that my week did not pan out the way that I had hoped it would. Last Sunday morning briefing, I was hoping that I would be able to go back to school on Monday. That I think, I can't remember now, technically Sunday would have been my day 5, Monday would have been my day 6. So in the UK, well, not in the UK, in Wales, if you catch COVID, you have to isolate for 5 days, and then if you have a negative test on day 5 and day 6, then you can go out on day 6. If you don't, then you need to get 2 negatives 24 hours apart, and then as soon as you've got those, you can go out. Unless you get to 10 days, in which case when you get to 10 days, you're done. Because even though you might still be testing positive, they consider you not to be infectious anymore. So I finally did get a negative on day 10. I missed an entire week of school, which so close to the exams puts me on edge a lot. And I'm sure it does my students as well. So yeah, we'll just draw a veil over that. Interestingly, Ness stayed positive as well. So Ness stayed positive for her 10 days too. Chris was done in 5, so he had his first negative after 5 days, and then another negative after 6, so he was out. But yeah, it both lingered for both of us. Before I forget, this week is my mum's birthday, so happy birthday, Mum. We'll be seeing her next weekend, so looking forward to that, and then getting to spend a bit of time together in the next few weeks as well. So really looking forward to that. But yeah, happy birthday, Mum. Let me show you what I've been stitching. I have got 3, nearly 4 finishes. Very nearly 4. I could have probably just finished it off, but I didn't. And a couple of other things that I've been working on. So I'll show you my first finish, because this is the one that I showed you last week that was really close to a finish. So where is it? This is called Plum Street Samplers Count Twice. And the funny thing about it is that there is mistakes in it. So I didn't heed my own advice there. So this is stitched on a piece of pink fabric, which I think is a 32 count. I don't know, I haven't measured it. It didn't have a tag on it. I had a weird piece of 30, pink 30, so it could even be that. But that's my finish there. So I changed the colour palette a little bit, because I did like, I think I said last week, I did like the kind of bluey grey, but on my fabric it didn't look right, because the called for is Vintage Meadow Rue. So it's not really as pink as it looks on the photograph, whereas mine is kind of pink. So as I said, I had to fudge this lady, so she's carrying a staff with her funny cage in it. I can only presume that this frog has come out of that cage. I didn't want to introduce another colour for the frog, so when I stitched him, I stitched one colour with the green and one colour with the brown, or one thread with the green, one thread with the brown. And you probably can't see very well, but I have got some little yellow stitches in there, so there's some little yellow doodads around the place. And the date looks a little bit funny, but once it's made into a drum, she says, trying a little bit of mid-air folding, there we go. Once it's made into a drum, the date will sit correctly on the back, and it'll just give a little bit of a space between those two flowers at the back, which is fine. So there we are. Plum Street Samplers Count Twice, Stitch Once. It's a finish. And then for some reason, unbeknownst to me, I suddenly thought, well, it's Easter soon and I haven't really got anything Easter. So I have had this book for quite a while, Jelly Bean Jubilee, which was released last year from With Thy Needle and Thread. And so I decided to do some of the ones out of here. And I have got a piece of 36 count that I hand dyed. And so I just kind of set about stitching them. Now I haven't ironed this, which could prove to be a failing because I think it might have been easier to see. So the first one I did was Hop Hop Hippity Hop. Now I think once this is ironed you'll be able to see it better, and actually I can see it perfectly well. It's just this slightly weird light. So it calls for, there we go, it to be white on the top and the bottom and the pink in the middle. And I did white, pink, and then a pale pink underneath, which I think, yeah, once it's ironed you'll probably be able to see it a bit better. And then on the same piece of fabric I did that one as well, and because I'd put the pale pink in, I put the pale pink on one of the little flower heads as well. And then this is the one I haven't quite finished yet. This is the one that says Easter, and all I've got to do on this is the tiny little bit of over one on the bird's beaks and the little French knots. So there is Easter. Oh, and I've got to put the stick. She's actually holding the carrot as like a little balloon. So I did all of those on 36 count using sulky. So I switched the threads to sort of similar colours, and then I just kept stitching them on my piece of fabric. And I've got enough room probably to do one more small one there, but like I said, I'm sure it will look much better if it was ironed. But I do like that Easter one. I think that's really nice. And then I started, and this is a part of my haul, I bought Keeper of the Pins, which is the new book from Brenda Gervais, With Thy Needle and Thread. This came out at market, and on the same fabric I have started, now don't faint, I have started my fed. Sorry. I've started my fed, which is going to be this one. My soul is fed with needle and thread. And again, I'm doing it on 36 count, which is what this is, and sulky. I do like this one actually. There, you take the little tomato from this one and you just stitch the little tomato, and then you put some of your nice vintage buttons all the way around the outside, and I think that's really, really nice. So it's stitched in a mixture of DMC and Weeks, but the red is a solid DMC 22, which is actually quite, it's one of the new ones, it's more of a brownie red. But yeah, so I've started that one as well, and I'll probably do the same thing. I'll probably pick out 4 to do on this fabric, and then I'll find another fabric and do the remaining 3, and the same with this. I'll find another fabric and do sort of like a mix and match set. So no, that's not all I've stitched on. I also got this back out to stitch on, which is Kezia or Keziah Campbell, and this is the one that I'm doing for my mum's side of the family. And I didn't get a massive amount done on it. Is that attached in any way? It's attached to something. Probably attached to the needle. Yeah, it is. I see, this is a really dark piece of fabric and it's blowing out. I finished the little fence along because the grass is a version of like a satin stitch, which I'm going to have to get my head around. And I've just done a few extra of the flowers around the outside. So as part of my marching orders to try and go back and do some of my older whips in March, and then may it soon be done in May, because I'm not planning on having one of those big start all the things manias. I have a start all the things every month, so I need to have a finish some of the things. So yeah, that's what I've done. Back to this again, I forgot, I think I showed you last week, that's going to be the top and the bottom of the drum. I decided on the darker one. Okay, I have seen so many really nice St. Patrick's Day charts and finishes in the last couple of days, because obviously it's St. Patrick's Day, that I actually don't have any St. Patrick's. At Delalight I've got one tiny one, and I'll put a picture of it up there, which I got from Pinker and Pumpkin Blogspot, which I stitched up last year. But I've been really envious of the St. Patrick's Day displays. So I found this freebie, which is this one, which is by Threadwork Primitives, and it's called the Lucky Shamrocks freebie, and I really like this kind of penny border around the outside. So I'll put the link for that down below, and you can go and download a copy of that for yourself. I just wanted to take an opportunity very quickly just to remind you about the competition for last week. And if you remember, I showed you these brilliant pieces from Crowsfeetstitching. I showed you Mary Ann Kittle, the big sampler, and I showed you Mary Ann Kittle, the pincushion drum. And I've got a free copy of each of those to give away. You need to enter on last week's video. So if you haven't already entered for those, go and enter on last week's video. I'll tell you the keywords to enter, so you don't have to go back and re-watch and recheck, but don't put them on this video because I won't be checking this video. So it was drum for that one and Mary for that one. So yeah, go back onto the last video and do that. I thought I'd just show you my picks from this month's Punch, Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine. Have I said that right? Yes, I have. It took me by surprise. The new, excuse me, the new spring issue is out. I have a digital subscription to it, and when I last paid my subscription in the autumn, they were doing an offer where if I paid, now I want to say something like $36, then I could have access to all of the issues rather than $24, which just gives me access to the next 4 issues, so basically a year's worth plus the previous year. So I don't know if they're still doing that, and I seem to remember last time I spoke about it, somebody said it wasn't on an offer that was available in America. But it's worth going and checking, because Punch, Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine is a fantastic magazine. I really, really rate it, and I know I've spoken about this before, but I don't do punch needle, but there is more than enough of just the cross stitch, and lots of the cross stitch charts that are in there go on to be released. So even if you only stitch 3 or 4 things in the year, if you say, oh well, I would have bought those as actual charts, then you cover your subscription really, really easily. So these are some of the ones that I've picked out that I want to stitch. These aren't all the cross stitch ones. There are a couple that I kind of left behind because I thought, I'm not sure as I'd stitch that. So probably means like next year I'll go back through and find them again and then stitch them. So I picked out this one, which is called Dreaming Queen Bee, which is by Barbara Anna. Now there's very often a Barbara Anna in Punch, Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine. I don't want to say every single issue, but more often than not there is one. So there's that one, which I really, really like. And I'm sure it wasn't necessarily designed as such, because the design's probably been in for quite a long time, but I thought it was interesting that it was almost in the Ukrainian colours, so I thought that was lovely. I picked out this, oh sorry, I've got a squeaky chair again, this one, which is called All My Quaker Hearts, which is by Lucy Bean. Sorry, I had too many copies there. And I really like the colours on that one, the red and the green. I think that looks lovely. So something slightly different, sort of Valentine's Day-ish. I know we've passed that now, but there's always next year. And then this one is by Teresa Kogut, which I really like. Now, talking of Teresa Kogut, I've mentioned before that I'm part of her Patreon, and you might have noticed that she released a market exclusive, one that was for shops that were just attending the market. I think it will be released to everybody eventually, but it was only available, I think, to shops that were actually at market initially. But she's released it to her Patreon as well. It's an additional pay for, you pay for extra, but it's a PDF, so it's not particularly expensive, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to put a picture of that up there. So if you're wavering about becoming a Patreon, then I wouldn't hesitate. So did I show you that one? Yes, I did. And then, excuse me, I picked up this one. This is called Bucket Brigade by Stitching with the Housewives. And again, more often than not, they have something in there as well. And I think this would look lovely, not on the black. It looks lovely on the black, but it would also look lovely on lots of other colours, I think, as well. So those were the ones that I had picked out. And then all I've got left to show you, it's not a very long one this week, because I feel I've done quite a bit of stitching, but obviously with Ness being at home as well, I've done a lot of Ludo playing and Snakes and Ladders playing and dodging Nerf bullets and, you know, just trying to cope with a 6-year-old who's been inside for 2 weeks. So yeah, I don't know as I've done anything groundbreakingly brilliant. You know, if someone said to me, right, 10 days, you're going to have 10 days off, you're going to feel a bit ropey, but okay, and I might have been able to use my time a bit better, but it felt like a bit like just to kind of cling on. And of course I was setting work and, you know, trying to keep in touch and do the bits and pieces that I could at home, so it is what it is. It is what it is. Right, I just wanted to show you this. Now I'm sure a lot of you have already got this, or a lot of you have already run to the works to get this. Now the works are doing this one and the cross stitch for the earth one, and they are £5 each. Now I've already got the cross stitch for the earth one, so I only picked up this one. I hadn't ever bought this one, not because I don't like the designs, but because I just couldn't see myself wanting to stitch that many kind of saying designs. But for £5 for 1 or 2 of them, I will. I really like the one about the sea. There we go, that one there, about the sea and the skillful sailor. And there was another one that I quite liked as well. I think it was that one, the best views that come after the hardest climb. So I got that one just sort of really to have to hand rather than any immediate plans to stitch, because a 5 is a 5, that's pretty good going. And then this was my other market purchase. I've not gone mad on market this year because I've still got a lot of market stuff from last year that I haven't stitched, but I did want to get this one, the little Brenda Gervais one, and I've not seen the Moons of 2022 in the UK yet, and as soon as I do, that's the other one that I really wanted to get. The other long list, I'll just pick those up as I go, but this is A Heart Remembers, another brilliant book by Patchwork Rabbit then, and a nearly brilliant book by Blackbird Designs. It's an animal of some description, we'll get there. Oh dear, I honestly don't have the COVID fog. This is just how I normally am. So I'm sure you've seen this. I was just going to show you through the charts just in case you haven't. There's that one, which is after a sampler that Alma owns, which is that one. Now, I was interested to read about this one because Alma has written that she thinks that this girl was from Morton in Marsh. Now, Morton in Marsh is really not very far away from where I'm from. It's about 4 miles away. And she said she'd never been able to find her. Well, I think I found her. I don't think the name says what Alma may think it does. I think it says something slightly different, and I think I found her if it says something slightly different. I've sent Alma a message with my findings, so if she gets back to me, I'll let you know next week what I think and who I think she is. This one, I've wanted to stitch this for ages, but it was an out of print loose feathers, and one of the ones that came in lots of different bits and bobs, so I could never find it all, and it was always too pricey. So there's that one. There is also that one, which is really, really sweet as well. I think that was another loose feathers one. There is this little pin cushion, Remember Me, which I have actually got the little reward of merit chart for that one. No, it's the same one. There's a few hearts in this one, as the name would suggest. That one. That one, I really like that one. And I think there's one more. Yeah, the one with the house, which I like as well. Nice to have some things that are different shapes. Is that the last one? No, one more. A forget-me-not. And one more. That one. So, well worth it. Buy all the Blackbird. Well worth it. We always knew it would be, wouldn't we? And I also really like the other sampler that they've put out as well, the one with the big house on. The name escapes me at the moment, but I'm sure you've seen it. And the last thing that I picked up in Tesco's today. So today was the first day that I was allowed out, so I went for a little mooch up the high street, you know, just being out. And then I went round Tesco's, and that was exciting in itself. And I picked this up. Now this is a Mother's Day thing, a little Mother's Day hanging sign, but sorry Mum, this isn't coming to you. I'm going to take off the little heart. In fact, I'll probably take it off, give it to Chris, and get Ness to paint it or something for me, and she can give it to me. But I just liked the wreath shape because I thought it would look super, super nice with a ring finish in the middle, with a hoop finish in the middle. So you can either leave it that colour, or you can paint it white or pink or blue or whatever colour, green you fancied. And there we go. That's it for today. I knew it wouldn't be, as I said, very long. I've been a caged bird this week. But there we are, and I'm also going to have to stop before I absolutely melt. I put the heating on and this room has just got super, super hot. So anyway, I'm waffling now. I will see you next week. Stay classy, Stitchers.